Take
House of the
four.
Dragon.
5, 4. What's going on, guys? Welcome to Review Rogues. We are back in the building after our long and winded vacation slash hiatus. We are now back. It's the group, it's the gang, the original crew together. Letier and Ronnie with me. Guys, what's going on? How y'all doing? How y'all living, man?
I'm good,
Really
man.
good. So excited to finally be back here for, a brand new spin-off of Game of Thrones. Super exciting.
Right, awesome, absolutely. Ronnie, what's good with you, man? How are you? How you been?
I'm good. I know, yeah, it's been a while, but we had to come back with the show that put this podcast here in the first place. So it was only right.
Right,
So
absolutely. I 100% agree, guys. And just a quick history reminder for you guys: this podcast was made for the last season of Game of Thrones, the very disappointing last season of Game of Thrones. But we're starting brand new, fresh with House of Dragons. We're gonna get right into House of Dragons, but first, I just want to get your reaction, guys. And I guess I'll start with you, Ronnie, first. In terms of the anticipation of the show and your anticipation of the show and the build up towards the show, like, did you see a lot of build up for the show on online services, on your social media? And if you did or didn't, what was your anticipation of the show? Because obviously you didn't know it was gonna come out. Was you excited for it? Was you nervous? How did you feel?
I mean, so right off the bat, I didn't see too much buildup, and I mean it's obvious why, and it's deserving that
Mm-hmm.
a lot of that hype got killed after that last season. So
Mm-hmm.
um, I'm not trying to kick those producers when they're down, or those showrunners rather, but it is what it is. It was
Right.
a bad. Um, I didn't see too much build up. I saw some, like you would like I don't even remember how, but I would see a picture of it on a magazine cover or whatever
Right.
as it got closer. But personally, I didn't. And this goes for anything. Like I haven't really been watching a lot of trailers of anything, and I find it's more surprising that way. And specifically towards this show, like I didn't see any trailers until I saw one ad that popped up on YouTube, and I didn't take it off. I didn't skip the ad because I thought, oh, okay, this looks pretty good.
Right.
But needless to say, I didn't know any other characters. I didn't. All I knew was it was a prequel. So coming back to this show with almost really low to no expectations. Like obviously I wasn't gonna try to invest myself again in this universe, but we'll get into it later. But I was pleasantly surprised. Like
Absolutely.
I wasn't expecting much, but it was dope. It was dope.
Gotcha, gotcha. Let's hear. What about you? How was how was your anticipation for the show, but also the build up? Did you see a lot of build up on it on social media? How do you think? Give me your insight on both questions.
Sure. So basically, as someone who works in marketing, I'm always trying to see, what's the excitement about? What are the new shows that are coming up? And I was super surprised to see that there wasn't that much I didn't see that much funding of HBO doing crazy campaigns like you saw for Stranger Things. I feel like 6 months in advance you were already hearing stuff and partnerships, and you would go to a store, you would see the makeup stuff before they even the season came out. Um, but surprisingly, I think because of the sour taste in everybody's mouth from last season, I feel
Mm-hmm.
like HBO, they probably put the dollars to back up the production, and you could definitely see that in episode one.
Right.
But they didn't put the money to market it. They were kind of I feel like they're going at it in a different kind of um rhythm where it's kind of we know that fans are probably going to come back, but we're also not going to stay here and spend a whole bunch of money marketing it just in case it bombs. And I'm going to say that because
That's
I saw
interesting.
recently
Mm-hmm.
that Discovery bought out Warner Brothers and HBO.
Right.
So it's going to be a merger, and Discovery is going to be, there's not going to be any more HBO Max, and they're looking for shows to cut. So when it comes to this show, they're really, they're really like banking on hopefully people liking it and doing a season 2. But if it bombs because of how like last season ended, it
Or
probably won't
the
make
Game
it.
of Thrones. You're talking about Game of Thrones because of last season of Game of Thrones,
Yeah.
right?
So I think they kind of came in it with like a more, they have a lot to prove basically. And I feel like they didn't put too much marketing dollars because they know that, you know,
How about your anticipation to the show? Like, was you excited for this, or were you scared, or did you have mixed feelings?
honestly, I still have like that sour taste in my mouth.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely I felt the anticipation, like that Game of Thrones butterflies, I would say, that I don't really get with any other show. It did hit me like a week ago, and like I've been like reading up on it, kind of like, getting there where I'm like, okay, I'm excited. But definitely like it hasn't been like me waiting 6 months for this. Absolutely not.
Right. It's not something that you would, as of right now, are losing sleep on it. Like, you can't wait to it's Sunday, and you can't wait for the next episode. At least that's not yet, and
Honestly,
nor should be.
once we get into talking about the actual episode, that might change. I'm
Right.
actually very interested to see what happens next, but I'm not
Absolutely.
losing sleep over waiting for the next episode.
Right. Oh, absolutely. So we're not gonna go ahead and review, like, summarize the episode for those of you guys that saw it. For you guys listening to this, you obviously saw it and you're looking just for our reviews and stuff like that. So I just want to go ahead and get just first impressions real quick. What did you think about the landscape, the scene, just the story of it, anything that pretty much stand out for you guys? Give me your first impressions. Ronnie, go ahead, just give me real quick, what was your first impression on the show?
I mean, so my very, very first impression, and it goes back to what Letier was saying, was like you could see the money that was put behind the show in terms of,
Mm.
and this is gonna sound general and really weird, but
Mm-hmm.
cinematic quality, because
Mm-hmm.
I love eye candy when it comes to anything,
Yes.
in media, like games, movies, comics, like anything that looks really nice.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always so like off the jump. I was like, okay, like this already. And as the episode progressed, honestly, like the storyline, it
Mm-hmm.
was like very serious, a lot of serious shit for a first episode.
Yeah.
Um, and it kind of it felt like I was watching a finale, if that makes sense.
Right.
Like after a while, because again, like that quality was really high.
Yep.
The costumes, the makeup, the armor, especially
The
Damon's armor.
armor was really detailed. I was just
Yeah.
gonna point that out. And when you mentioned the money, I was
Mhm.
like, yeah, you could see it in that aspect. Absolutely.
Yeah, but I was worried, like before, like the episode, like kind of switched to another gear. Like I was worried that, like, I hope they didn't just focus on making this look pretty and the narrative is kind of boring.
Mm-hmm.
And, I still kind of have that reservation, but initially, like, I thought, that very brief intro with and I have to rewatch it because I forget the name. There's so many, these Targaryen names, but
Yeah,
with
yeah,
the naming of Viserys as the king, like that ceremony, it was really serious, and you could tell, like, also, like the overtone, like the visual overtone of the show. I feel like they're using some kind of filter or their color choice, like in the palette,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
to make this seem like it really does seem like this happened years ago.
Mm-hmm.
If you
Mm-hmm.
watch Game of Thrones, it's more, it's kind of like a drama, this and that. This looks like I really don't know how to explain it. It's like I'm looking through the lens of something that happened 100 years ago. It just looks really legit.
It's
So
funny though that you mentioned that, and now that you mention it, it actually made a click on me. But if you remember when there were flashbacks in Game of Thrones, and it was like showing, it would be showing like somebody from Winterfell grabbing the baby. I forgot, Ned Stark grabbing the baby or something like that, or running away with
yeah,
John. It had those. It looks like those flashbacks from Game of Thrones a little bit, don't you think?
it did, and like even that, like it did look like the flashbacks, but it just looked a lot more like, even if you're looking at the setting, like that was another thing, and not to get too far ahead of myself, but like literally my first impressions, like seeing King's Landing again after all these years.
It's such a more like, and it looks the way better. That's the
It
funny part
reminds
about this.
like yeah, it reminds me of how like yeah, the ending was terrible, but the show had a lot of great things about it. Like
Right.
the set was always great, the attention to detail and things like that. And then like they did what they set out to do, which is what they mentioned in the inside the House of the Dragons, which was like you
Right.
gotta settle everybody back into this world because it is a big world, you know,
Yep.
obviously dragons and all this shit, but they did a great job. Like my impressions, everything only got better as the show went on.
Gotcha.
I can
Gotcha. Absolutely. Let's hear what did you think? What was your first impressions of the show, and well, is there anything that stood out to you in particular?
Well, talking, going back to like what Ronnie said, kind of like reeling everyone into that world. Like it's been 2, 3 years already.
Hmm.
So honestly, I had to like really like, I needed those visual cues and those verbal cues in order to like hook me back into a story and be like, oh yeah, this family. But I do appreciate the fact that during the horse basically the gladiator scene.
Right. The
um
jousting tournament.
yeah, yeah. You're seeing like the different flags with like the different houses. Like I remember
That's a
seeing the
nice
flag of
touch.
like the Baratheon family, and
Yes.
you're mentioning the Hightower family, the Martells. What I was gonna say, so it was really nice to kind of like hear those names, and you're like, oh yeah, like it
That's
kind of like
so
brings
good. Good
that
point.
back to life.
They're
One thing
digging
I
you in the
did notice
trenches without you even knowing.
without you even knowing, it's kind of just like using like all your senses to kind of
Hmm.
like bring you back into that world.
I love that.
And then I love that. I really did. One thing I was gonna mention, I don't know if it was just me, but did you guys hear the word Lannister
No,
in
I
this
don't.
whole episode? I think that was the one family they didn't mention.
At all, right? I didn't. I don't remember hearing anything either.
And I wonder if that's like basically because later like a Lannister is either gonna be a really big evil character, or maybe it'll be someone who's actually on Rhaenyra. I
Well,
think
we
that's her
know
name,
that
Rhaenyra.
Rhaenyra marries a Lannister.
Oh well,
So
there we go.
I don't even remember, but so one thing I do want to let y'all know at least is I don't know if you guys have there's a lot of lore videos on Game of Thrones, and a lot of what we're seeing in the show in terms of like the year, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like
Yeah.
a lot of this is already revealed. Like you know what's gonna happen and whatnot.
Right, because this is just going over. This is first of all, this is a book,
History.
right? Correct.
As well?
This is a book already, right? This is the original Game of Thrones book, right?
No, so it's not the original Game of Thrones book.
Hmm.
It's based off like Dance of the Dragon is the name of the book.
Okay.
But again, I forget the characters, but I've seen a lot of these. But all this to say again, like how Letty was mentioning, like you get those cues and whatnot. Like
But my question to Rhaenyra is the mother of Jon Snow and Daenerys. I'm assuming, correct?
No.
no.
Oh, okay. So I'm way off on this. Okay, okay, okay.
Like I don't remember much, but
Well,
that's definitely not it.
Who's the mother for them though? So,
The mother was Lyanna. It was Ned's
oh,
sister. Yeah, it was
well,
Ray.
that's not
not Ned's sister. What?
Daenerys's.
They're
Yeah,
both Targaryens. Jon Snow
Ned.
and
No, Ned Stark's sister.
uh huh.
She eloped with Rhaegar Targaryen.
Oh,
There we go. Yeah.
okay,
Who's
okay, okay.
Daenerys's brother?
Who's Daenerys'
Exactly.
brother? Oh, okay.
Yeah, remember
Robert
that
killed.
she's his aunt.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, Robert killed him because everybody the story in the realm is that Rhaegar kidnapped her and raped her, but they didn't. That's obviously not what happened.
Okay, so
Yeah,
that's
but
cool
real quick,
too.
just
So
all
basically, these people. The story is that these people are 100. There's 172 years. So this is not even like Daenerys's great grandmother. This is just like
This is way
the
before that.
Targaryens from like 200 years ago.
Oh, okay. So I thought it was like just like 2 generations away from Game of Thrones.
No.
It's not
No,
that.
no.
Good.
It's
Even
But
better.
200
listen,
years
what
before.
what's crazy is like again with these lore videos and what Letty was saying is like it they eased you back in so well. Like when
Mm-hmm.
you started seeing those sigils and hearing the names Hightower, when you started hearing Martell and whatnot, and fucking Baratheon, the Vale, all these locations, I was like, oh my god, yeah, I remember what happened there. I
Mm-hmm.
remember what happened there. Like they're playing on that subtly. They're not throwing it in your face like, oh, this is
Mhm.
Ed Stark's great whatever, because Rickon Stark was there. I forget. I think that's
Yes.
grandfather, but I forget exactly where
Where?
he is in the lineage. But again, they're
Okay.
playing kind of homage to
To
the
the
the show,
families.
the originals, and that's dope to see. You know what I'm saying? So like, it's interesting that they chose a time where you know what happens, but it's already super intriguing, and that's because everything's already meshing so well. The writing, in my opinion, was really good. The acting,
What was the guy in the, for what was the name of the
The uncle?
of the House of Stark guy that was there?
Rickon Stark,
Recon. Okay.
yeah. But it's cool because what you see is and I'm bugging, like, again, I gotta watch this show again because all these names they mix me up.
Yeah, me
But
too. I gotta watch it over again.
when you see the daughter being named heir, when Rickon goes to pledges allegiance, he's fucking pissed off, bro, because the Northerners always hated the Targaryens. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
Oh, I
they're
saw that.
yeah, they're sticking with a lot of the lore, which is good. And one thing that I'm really excited to see that I noticed once they started queuing to it, was, and I'm getting a little bit ahead, but the wounds on the king,
Yeah.
like initially I didn't know what it was, but when I saw him started getting cut by the throne,
Yeah.
he's
Hmm.
supposed to be one of the most like insane characters, and he has it. Like, I think they call him the king of scabs or some shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
But like, it, it's
Mm.
it's giving me a lot of hype already. You know what I mean?
Wow.
As somebody who forgot a lot of shit, the show itself, like, it was a roller coaster, that episode.
So
It was
I completely forgot everything about Game of Thrones, and I actually go back and I will go back and just do a little bit of homework research on it as well as just watch the first episode. But to me, the very first thing that kind of stood out to me was the Game of Thrones feel, where it's like you don't know who to root for yet. You don't know
Yep.
who's the good guy. And that was like something that was so exciting to me, where it's like, I could see where Damon is not necessarily entirely bad. He loves his niece, the Rhaenyra, whatever her name was. He
yeah,
has love for his brother. His brother, there is a conflict there, and it's like, and then there's these other cool characters that like the Sea Snake, and you're like, or Otto Hightower, which the guy
yeah.
kind of, it's just like, who are we rooting for here? Even his daughter Alicent, like, I was like, oh, like, what role is she gonna play here? Like,
But
she looks like a very like innocent person. And even like that other guy who the Sir Kristen, whatever his name, the Cole guy, that I think he won the tournament, or we don't know yet.
right,
There's a
he was
lot
actually a
of
cartel, which was interesting.
people who are like, you're like, okay, who is it? I can't wait to see who is the one that we're gonna cheer for.
But see, that's the thing with Game of Thrones. Like, yeah, in the first season it was pretty clear, but you always had those hints of even the characters who are supposedly the bad ones.
Right.
Like, they're everyone's a hero in their story, kind of shit. You
So
know
I
what I'm
didn't
saying?
get that vibe from Game of Thrones right off the rip from season one.
So
I got
I
that
see.
as the seasons went by, where
So
it's
like
not a
that's what I'm
clear
saying. Like,
cut,
where
like I should root for this person or this person. Everybody has a good motive.
right. So see, that's the thing. Like, it's already a little bit different, and I'm
Right.
glad that they're ahead of the curve
Right.
because in Game of Thrones, the Lannisters were obviously the bad ones in the
And the
beginning, and
Starks were like pure like lawful good guys.
exactly. But then when you
Right.
see here, and what I loved about the writing is that,
Who's
for
good?
example, no, not even that. That's not even the question. It's just everybody's just human. So, like, when you look at the king,
Mm-hmm.
right? I think his name was, again, I have to rewatch it, but the king, the guy,
Viserys?
Viserys,
Viserys?
yeah,
Viserys,
right.
yeah?
Initially, I'm watching him,
Yeah.
and I'm listening to him speak, seeing what's important to him.
Right.
Obviously, he wants the male heir.
Right.
When they get to the birth, like up to the birth, I was like, okay, he seems like a pretty solid guy. Like he cares about the realm. He's not selfish. He's nowhere near a Joffrey. He's not fucking
But
a Baelon.
there were hints of madness throughout this episode.
But listen, this is what I'm saying. Like
Mm-hmm.
there weren't any hints for me up to that.
Mm-hmm.
What happened to me, where I was like, "Fuck this guy," was when his wife, obviously,
He had to choose
she
between him and
wasn't
his
gonna
wife.
pull through. Yeah, she wasn't gonna pull through, and the maester told him, we either do a C-section
Yeah.
or lose both of them.
It wasn't a
He didn't
C-section.
tell,
It was a cut right
bro,
through her stomach, bro.
bro. He didn't tell her. He just straight up said, "Yo, hold
Oh
it
my
down."
God! I was thinking the exact same thing. I
Bro,
was
that's
like,
what
I was like, can you at least give her the decision to make? Like, you gotta
Yes.
die.
Like, fuck all this responsibility to make an heir and all that.
Right.
As a human, I was like, fuck this
Is
guy.
he gonna ask her? Is he gonna ask her?
But again, to fast forward a little bit, what was crazy is by the end of the episode when he calls down his daughter and he's actually like, she's even saying like, "Yo, you haven't even spoken to me. Like, what's wrong with you?"
Yeah.
And it's because he's being serious. He's naming her the heir, and the reason why is because he sees his wife in her, his dead wife, and that right there kind of it turned it around because you saw him kind of leading towards that insanity. Where he
Right,
was
but I
getting
don't
mad
think
at his
that
brother,
he
at
spoke
Damon.
with her or he didn't speak to her because of the guilt that he was feeling. I think that happened afterwards, that they had the discussion with the brother and stuff like that. And then obviously he decides that he's going to name her the next queen or whatever.
So
I think that he saw her as an inferior
Mm.
until the point where he's like, yo, you're going to have to name her the queen. And then he's like, oh, I've been a dick to her. You know what I'm saying?
I kind of disagree there. I feel like once his
wife passed away and his
once
son.
they both passed, yeah, that's where he was kind of like, I miss my wife. I've been fucking up. It wasn't like he spoke to Damon and he heard that Damon was celebrating.
Yeah.
Then he picked his daughter. Like, for me, that was something wholesome to see from him.
Yeah.
To go back to that and support her over, his brother, which the consequences are very clear. Damon is already a really interesting character. But
Right,
he's
absolutely.
you know what I mean? Like, that shit he did, like purging crime in King's Landing, effective, but a little
overboard. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's hear. What do you think about Princess or soon to be Queen Rhaenyra Targaryen? Did you get a lot to read from this character? Like, I feel like it's gonna be centered around her a lot of the show, but it didn't get that feel to me. But is there anything that stood out for you from her?
So definitely I did get that vibe of like they're gonna censor it. Like she's gonna have clearly a big role, you
Right.
know? They also did that, relationship with her uncle where her uncle cares for her, but
Right.
at the end of the day you feel that tension between the two characters
I
regardless.
did not even notice
So-
that. I like it.
I'm not gonna lie to you. What I was getting from that was a little inappropriate. And remember, the Targaryens are notorious
Do
for incest.
fornicate with each other, right?
Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say about that.
You guys are on fire with that. I think I couldn't even. This could be, and I just couldn't see this.
Yeah,
I'm
and not even like I didn't take it too much even like that, but I also did think like, oh, it could lead to something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But more of it was kind of like you could still tense between the two characters that like there's gonna be conflict in the future, and right now, it's the first episode. She's the young girl who doesn't think that she's gonna be good enough to ever, she's not her father's son. So she's like, I'm never gonna be that. I'm not thinking that I
Right.
would take the reign ever. So they kind of like, painted her a little bit more on like the soft, weak character as of right now, and then you're gonna see like a total 360 at one point, kind of how we did see with Daenerys.
So what I'll
Go
say
ahead.
to that real quick, I want to just say is, I actually got the vibe of her being like Arya, because she in the beginning she was mentioning how like
Ooh.
she didn't give a damn about the septa, the studies with the septa. She just wanted to like fly away with her friend and just see stuff. You know what I mean? So I
I get
kind
what you're
of,
saying. You mean the Arya kind of fighter mentality type of stuff. Is that what you're
yeah,
trying to
like
say?
she's
Okay.
not like the damsel type. Like she's about it. She can't be about it. You know what I mean?
So.
I was gonna say that. I like that you bring that up
Mhm.
because when I say weak, I what I really meant to say was more like, young, innocent. And then we're gonna
Okay.
see her become into like that strong woman.
Yep.
But
I
definitely
can
even
see
like
that.
the character that they chose, they didn't choose like remember that the when Daenerys was out, like people were naming their children. People were obsessed with this character because she was a beautiful girl.
Mhm.
Not to say that this is not a beautiful girl, but she doesn't have that softness and that feminine face that Daenerys has, and I feel like I like that
I
because
like
it
that too.
already seems like a little bit more of like that warrior. Like she's definitely gonna be
Yes.
more like that Arya versus that Daenerys, who's
Those
like
small moments,
romantic, looking in love, and all that
100%.
stuff.
Those small moments where she would be smirking in the middle of the jousting tournament and she would see the blood and stuff like that. That was like to me like a foreshadowing of the viciousness of this woman's like throughout the show. And
Well,
go ahead.
gonna have to be. She's gonna it's set where she's fighting against Damon, and the
Yeah.
whole from the beginning, the Viserys' father, he was alluding to the fact that the only thing that could bring down the Lannisters is the Lannisters, like
The
themselves.
Targaryen,
The Targaryens, you
Yeah,
mean?
sorry, Targaryen, yeah.
yeah.
He was
Okay.
saying the only thing that could destroy their house is another Targaryen. You know what I'm saying?
So
And
my
that's
thing
what
is
it ended
too
up happening.
is that you could feel the tension in this episode. You could cut it with a knife. Like and now this episode established what I believe is the true definition of Game of Thrones, where it's like everyone has a card to play and everyone is being real careful because if you reveal too much of your cards, that's when you get killed. So, for example,
Yeah.
like even not even talking about the three Targaryens, Rhaenyra, Daemon, and Viserys, even like the other characters, like the Lord Corlys, Alicent, Otto, those three characters are like you could tell that they were doing little things. And again, and I mentioned something that let's hear mentioned to me off camera, and I feel like it already took place. Was that Otto Hightower went to the king and told him how the night of quote unquote celebration went for Damon,
Yeah.
and he told the story through his eyes or his point of view or what his informants told him. We don't know if that bar scene or that brothel scene went exactly like that.
I'll give you that it's a little vague, but at the same time, I do feel um like Damon didn't even like shy away about it. He just straight up. At first, he was like, "Damn, he knows,"
Right,
but
but I also feel like that's
then
his character. Like he
that's
wouldn't
what I'm
even do
saying. Like,
that.
it's not even that. Like, he was like he knows, but he was just like, we all mourn in our own way,
Mm-hmm.
which
Mm-hmm.
is which is like it doesn't really matter to him. Like
Mm.
I don't think that. Damn, I'm losing my train of thought. I just know that like for sure, Damon has his own agenda. You know what I mean?
Everybody has their own agenda. I agree with you 100% on that. Um, I I just think that again, and it's just part of that. Everybody has their own agendas because everybody's playing the Game of Thrones. I guess my question is like I am now really curious to see what is the agenda of like an Otto Hightower or even like the secondary guys who are the people the cast of characters that are not Targaryens. I want to know
Mhm.
what's the deal with them. Like,
I'm gonna be honest.
mm-hmm,
I absolutely believe when Damon was telling him like, listen, they think that you're weak, and
mm-hmm.
they're basically
they're
they have their own
they're
intentions.
plotting to kill
I
him.
do believe that because you
Mm-hmm.
also saw that Highwater sent his daughter and like to the room
Which says a lot.
to
Yeah,
Viserys. which says a lot about like him. And then also like when I saw
By the way,
towards the
you
end of
saw
the
his
episode,
daughter's fingernails, like they look like they're all gonna be ripped off or something like that.
Yeah,
Like, 'cause-
he's been through. I think that was a nice touch. It was very humanizing because, like, obviously the mother died. That's very traumatic for her. We don't know how that happened, and she seems to obviously deal with it that way. So again, just it's grounding the whole show a lot for me. Like, I I don't want to like go veer too off topic, but like it,
it's giving flaws to every character.
exactly, and
Yeah.
it was way more cinematic than dramatic, and that's something that I loved because Game of Thrones, you had the cheesy moments and this and that. Even the cheesy moments here, they kind of were. They weren't really that cheesy at all. It just felt like normal shit that happens. It wasn't too drawn out. So, like that specific direction they're taking with the show, I think it works perfectly, and I'm 100% a big fan of that in my just generally.
what I was also gonna say was that basically towards the end of the episode when they're like putting like the crown and all that stuff, you see Alicent, who's Highwater's daughter,
Right.
basically putting everything kind of like if she was like her mother figure.
She's putting like the
I
cape
kind of
on.
got it. Yes.
Yeah.
And I was like, ooh, I could totally see Viserys basically marrying her, trying to have another child with her. Rhaenyra basically feeling some type of way and like
Holy
killing
shit.
herself.
That is a
That's me,
lot.
like,
Yo, we're like going all over the place with this. I love it. Like just episode 1, and we've already created the plot for this show, which is very dangerous for us because we were on fire for the last season of Game of Thrones. Unfortunately for us.
For real.
No, but that's
But
sounds really
that's
good.
just
That's a big sign, that the show's already got us like theorizing and wanting to know what's gonna happen.
That's actually pretty good too. Yeah, exactly.
It me in. Like I'm 100% looking forward to the next this season. I really hope they do well.
So, what characters are you guys looking forward to get more of? I'll start with you. Let's hear. What character are you looking to just learn more about, or just to see more about? You're curious about.
I would say my top 3 would be Rhaenyra. I really like her. Again, she has like that Arya. I feel like we were left with so much, like wanting to see Arya do so much in Game of Thrones. So back to what Ronnie said, instead of seeing like the damsel in distress who falls in love with her uncle, like who cares about that? Like I want to see like a badass war. And that's kind of what I feel like I'm gonna get from her character. Definitely her uncle is a very mysterious character. You kind of want to know like, okay, so are you good? Are you bad? If you're bad, like, is there a reason? Like, what is his motive? Like, what is the relationship between him and his brother? That maybe he's like, I have like, he's the older one, so he got to be basically the king of Westeros. But maybe they went through something in their childhood where he has some type of reason, to kind of want this end.
True.
So definitely want to explore that character a little bit more. And then, like I mentioned,
so that's your one,
Alicent,
right?
Those are my 2, like Rhaenyra, Daemon, the uncle.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna say Alicent because I think her character is gonna get killed by season 2. I feel like she's
already telling God season. We can't end this person by season 2.
I feel like that little girl's not gonna last too long. I feel like she's gonna become like the wicked stepmom.
That little girl, I like it. All right, Ronnie. What about you? What is a character you still want to learn more about?
Honestly, the character who stole the first episode for me, again, it's like Daemon already. Like you could kind of see Daemon's gonna be the hothead, the badass and
is
whatnot.
he?
I was okay. I feel, of course, yeah. Like he's out here fucking punishing like judge, jury,
I
execution.
feel like I feel like Game of Thrones is tricking us. I feel like they're giving us this this guy's it's a ticking time bomb, and I feel like it's actually gonna be Viserys, the one that's gonna end up being the ticking time bomb.
So I think honestly, in terms of the ticking time bomb, any Targaryen could do that.
Right.
Like
100%.
Even the daughter, who's the heir, I think she could do that. But
yes,
like Daemon's role was more pronounced.
Yeah,
I was more intrigued and like really hyped to like really pleasantly surprised to see Viserys go, like, because he went through the most in this episode. That's one. You know what I mean? So it's kind of a cheat to say so far. Well, not really. It's just clear, but like see him go from the jovial, I'm gonna have a son. He's gonna be a king. I had the dreams, this and that.
Mm-hmm.
And again, he probably will still have a son. Like I like that theory Letty was saying about him and
And
I think
Allison,
Otto's daughter. Yeah,
Allison.
Alice.
Mm-hmm.
But his already his fucking like flow and arc through the characters, it like through his own storyline. I was like, wow, like dude went from being jovial and looking forward to having a son to like being selfish and not even telling his wife opening to fucking like again didn't give a shit about his daughter, and then by the end he's giving her the kingdom.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
And again, I think the acting was very on point.
And
Very on
again,
point.
I also think that was like for his own selfish reasons. Like it's not him being like, oh, you know what, you're daddy's little girl. Let me just give you the no. Like there has to be some backstory between him and his brother. He's like, I rather give it to my daughter who I do not care about than give it to my brother.
I like that.
Like
I like that a lot better. I liked it better. Like I'd rather take her than put you. I
yeah,
agree. I agree with that statement that it was when Ronnie said, and I know that in the Inside the Thrones they mentioned that too, where it was like he felt guilty, and he wanted to like. This is kind of like his way of making up for it for being like a dick to his wife and losing his son is like I'm gonna give it to you. But I also feel like it's like anybody's better than you kind of sort of thing. That's just
yeah.
But just real quick, just a little thing I'm gonna throw out there, just a little like curveball. I feel just well, I'll leave predictions to the end. As a matter of fact, let's make it that more fun. What characters I'm looking forward to? Kristen Cole kind of gave me the vibe of Jon Snowish. I'm just trying to kind of translate the vibes that I'm getting from the characters. I got a Jon Snow vibe from Cole. Um, so I'm interested to
Good
see.
question.
Yeah,
From Damon, you didn't get like a little, not a little finger, like kind of like a little finger. And what's the
I got that. I got that from Otto Hightower. I got Littlefinger.
and also like oh my God, the Lannister, the short one,
Tyrion.
Tyrion. His sarcasm at some point
I haven't seen a
gave me a
Tyrion
little bit
yet.
of Tyrion.
I don't got a
I
Tyrion
feel
on
like
this show yet for me.
okay, no, I'm saying like the brother
Mhm.
Damon. He
Mhm.
gave me like a little bit like just like the way that he answers that he kind of like dances around the answer and gives you like a fuck you without like giving it to you straight up. Like
Right.
it gave me like Tyrion vibes.
Well, so like you mentioned Littlefinger.
It's
I
definitely
I got it from Otto for sure. And that character, I'm absolutely curious to see who it is. By the way, like the guy who plays Otto is one of like just like every time I see him in a movie or in a show, whatever, like I like his acting skills. So I love the
mhm.
fact that
Okay.
he's there. Um, if anybody saw the replacements, he's the kicker in the replacements. So
No.
um, but Otto is definitely a guy there. So and then I kind of want to see the only black guy that we saw in the show was Lord Corlys Valerian. I want to know if this guy is gonna hold any type of weight in this show, b- besides the fact that he's a Valerian bloodline and Valerian steel is like the best steel that you can make a weapon out of or whatever, or it's the only steel that kills undead. And the way that this show is shaping, and now that you guys mentioned to me that this is like hundreds of years ago, so we are these are the people that fought the night the what is it called, the Night Walkers,
Yeah.
the
The
night
White Walker.
the White Walkers first. This is the first White Walkers fight.
It's actually not that early because there's been like there was an initial battle like the first men they fought them with the children of the forest,
Not those
but
guys,
that was
okay,
like
but they,
yeah that was like way
but if
back
you
then.
but if we're thinking about Game of Thrones, right? I'm guessing there was a fight before with White Walkers, and I'm guessing that these guys are the ones that are gonna fight now with White
No,
Walkers.
no. So it already happened. They think like the secret when they give Rhaenyra like the dagger
It's
that
the
he's telling
potential
her.
of White Walker fighting, right?
Yes.
Right.
Well, what they think is that it's gonna happen within the next 10 years, and it actually didn't happen for like 170 years when Jon Snow and Daenerys.
Oh,
So
okay.
they think that it's like right around the corner. They just
It
don't know
was
it's
what it wasn't.
170 years from now. Yeah.
Interesting. That's interesting. Okay, to know. Okay, so
Hmm.
I still want to know what the Valerian bloodline guy, what's his impact on the show, and you know, um, but let's go ahead and close it out. Is there anything that what are you looking forward to episode 2, guys? And I'll start with you, Ronnie. What is something that you're like, okay, I need this to happen, or I want this to happen?
So honestly, with that particular question, like, um, there's not anything in particular I want to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to see them continue doing what they're doing and
Mm-hmm.
don't show any tendencies to do anything like, and I'm throwing a little bit of shade, but anything like Marvel-esque, you know? And I don't see that happening, but
Now explain that for me, please, because I just laughed. I don't even know why.
well, when I say esque, I kind of have like personally, and like I've shown this on a couple of the reviews on my show. Like, I think the Marvel shows, especially on Disney Plus,
Okay.
they've just been a very cookie cutter. You know what I mean? Like, it's they try to serve a general, like a very broad audience.
Oh, I think you're thinking about the wrong show, man. I don't think this show is anything about Cookie Cutter, bro.
No, I know, but listen, all I'm saying is like it could be a different show, but we're still talking about Hollywood here. You know, like once they see something is working, that's where I worry
Are you
about.
trying to say like don't make the show predictable? Is that kind of where you're going?
Like, yeah, that,
Mm-hmm.
but also like I'm literally just taking it in stride. Like
Mm-hmm.
all I just want to see them do their thing. Like, write a good story.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't focus on setting up too much.
Mm-hmm.
Focus on developing these characters and making
Mm-hmm.
me care. Right now, I care. You know, don't start throwing me 80 different characters and teasing.
That's interesting.
Like,
That's interesting.
I don't want to hear them tease characters from the original show, like their bloodlines and whatnot. I just
You want
focus
this to
on
be a new, oh, it's a clean slate, brand new world.
yeah, and not
Mm-hmm.
even that, because you could like show Rickon Stark, you could show Martell's, you could show Lannister,
But those are
but don't
different characters. Still, those are still
yeah, like don't
not
make it a
associated to him.
focus. Don't just do it for fan service. Just focus on making a good like again, this episode it was very much let's establish this premise. The
Mm-hmm.
premise is there's no heir. Now there's an heir, and now they're gonna fight for, you know, who's gonna be the king after Viserys. And I think like as long as they stay there, I'm fine with it. And I also feel like it's a little too early to kind of like predict anything big for these characters. Like, you
Mm-hmm.
can have fun and theorize, but I'm enjoying getting to know these characters. Like right now, personally, I'm not too sold on Rhaenyra. Like, she's cool, but she's not like the reason I want to keep watching the show. The reason why I want to keep watching is because I want to see how Viserys deals with his brother. What Otto does. You know, is Otto really gonna do some selfish shit? You know what I'm saying? So it's not like I want certain things to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to see bad tendencies, if that makes sense.
I got you. I got you. Um, that definitely makes 100% sense. Um,
Mm.
let's hear. What are you looking forward to the next episode? I'll give you the same question. Like, is there anything in particular you're looking to stand out, or is there anything, you know? Go ahead and tell me what you're looking forward to.
To tell you the truth, I don't think there's not. I just want to enjoy it. Like for
Mm-hmm.
next episode, I just kind of want to see like what's gonna happen. I will tell you what I want to see in the season, and that would be like I don't want to be. I'm really just predicting, and that kind of sucks because I ruin shows for myself because I
Mm-hmm.
kind of like read so much into it and I theorize really well, and then it kind of happens, and I'm like, oh. So I just like going back to Game of Thrones season one when they ended up just killing Ned Stark, and you're like, what is happening? I want that. I don't want to be able. I want everything that you showed me this season, this episode, to not be true, and you're gonna like surprise me in like 5 episodes. That's what I want.
That's where I feel like it's dangerous though, because like again, like I said, I don't want it to be like that would be dope to see, twist like that, but don't. I'd rather not see them do things strictly for shock value.
But
Like
that's Game of Thrones though.
that
That's what I'm
that
asking you.
was Game
Like,
of Thrones, right? But look, listen, that was Game of Thrones,
right.
but that's also the reason why the show, what happened to the show happened. Like it got stale. Like you just saw dumb shit happening at the end that didn't make sense
I think the
just to
show
happen.
got stale. It's not because of Game of Thrones. I think it got stale because of the writers of the showrunners of the show. I don't think it.
But that's what I'm saying. Like they wrote it in a way where, like, again, all character bias aside, and I don't even dislike this character, but like, and not to open that can of worms again, but Arya shouldn't have been the one killing the Night King. The Night King shouldn't have died like that. That just happened to shock. Daenerys going crazy. Why did she do that? It was just shock value. Varys, one of the most important characters on the show, just getting roasted and nothing else happening. Like these things happened and they just didn't make sense. Her losing two dragons. Like the way that the second dragon died, I don't know if y'all remember, but they were just flying over the ocean and out of nowhere it got harpooned in the neck. Like what? Like bro, you see what I'm saying? Like shit, stuff like that. Like don't just do it just to.
but that was because of their bad writing because they had nothing to go off of anymore. That was just them being really bad. You know what I'm saying?
But that's what I'm saying. Like
Right.
I'd rather not see them follow
Okay.
that tendency to just like, yo, you know what would be crazy? Let's kill off one of the dragons for no
Well,
reason or
I
something.
don't think I'm gonna argue with you and say I don't think that was like how at the end of the series they gave no Fs and they were just doing
That's what I'm saying
wild shit.
too.
I'm not gonna say that that's what happened season one. I think
Mhm.
it was very. I think it was planned. It made sense. They wanted to like it wasn't just like, oh my god, let's do some crazy thing that's gonna like give us ratings. Like,
Right.
no. At the end of the season, yeah, they were like, yo, we're trying to move to Star Wars. Just
Mhm.
throw something on the paper. Let's move on.
I get
It's
you.
very different. That's not what I want.
I feel you, and I agree there. Like that what happened with Ned was very organic. It wasn't like
Yeah.
contrived and just like put there just to happen. I don't see
Even
that
like the
happening with the
tempo
show
of
neither.
season one was very different. It was kind of like slow, and it was like, there's the good guy, and then blah blah, and then boom, it just stabbed you, it killed him, and everything got crazy. Like you could tell it was planned rather than towards the end of the season they were just doing stuff like literally for shock
Exactly.
value. Like that's not what I'm asking for.
Right,
You
right, and I'm with you there. Like that's I should have made that differentiation. Like as long as it's planned, it's for a reason. It's not just to
Just
make
cause.
you say wow. You know what I'm saying? Like
hmm
as long as they do that with these characters, because I find these characters really cool so far. I'm not gonna lie to you. And as long as they do that, I think they'll be fine. But also,
So I'll say this, and I'll tie it
mhm,
on to what you're saying too. So if we make a compare contrast to season one of Game of Thrones, I got into the season one. It was I feel like in the season finale,
right,
where
Yeah, me too.
it was all build up, build up, build up, build up, build up, build up, build up. Chop goes Ned's head off,
yeah,
and that's when I was like, "Holy shit! What the hell is this?" Where now the contrast with this show is I feel like episode one is like the equivalent of episode 10 of Game of Thrones, and maybe it's just me,
absolutely.
and maybe it's just
No,
me,
it definitely is.
right? So it's there's so much. It could also just be me wanting this shit to be great, but what I don't need it to be is every episode try to outdo the last episode. And I think that's where you were going, Ronnie, just to get the
Mhm.
shock value. I just need it to, but what I do need it to be is keep the Game of Thrones aspect of it, where it's like everyone is trying to gain power, and if you don't watch your back, you will get killed. And if you play your cards wrong, you will get killed. Because the politics of the show is what, since day one, has always had me a fan of Game of Thrones. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
Mm.
So I guess we'll wrap it up here. And this was a good episode 1, guys. I'm glad we're back. I'm glad we're doing this. And, next week, whether we do it again with video or not, we'll see then. But regardless of the facts, guys, I just want to give a quick recap. Not recap, but just quick where you can find us, guys. Ronnie has his YouTube channel. Great, amazing videos. I wish you guys take a look at it. Ronnie Reacts. Please look at it. I'll put it in the description on the link to before. I'm going to make sure that this episode comes out on Spotify and on Apple. But immediately this episode is going to come out on YouTube. So you guys are going to be able to see it off of the Review Rogues page. You can find Letier at Ooh La La Letier on her Twitter. Ronnie, what is your current Twitter handle right now? Because you be switching them stuff like Skittles.
I got you. It's at RONAURICH. My name, pretty much.
Okay, so Ron Rich. You can find him on Twitter. It'll be under this episode. You can find me at N_Tony O, and you can find me. I also have a YouTube channel, and you can see it there. Guys, hopefully this is the start of an awesome. How do you say this? Tradition, but even just like a awesome, just like something good. Hopefully this is the start of something great. And now I don't need to talk about just this podcast, but I'm talking about this show. Hopefully this is something that we could sink our teeth in and actually look forward to on weekends.
Right, agreed, man. Honestly.
Alrighty. Alright, so for Review Rogues, for Letier, for Ronnie, I'm Antonio. Guys, thank you so much for being part of the show. We hope you liked it. Subscribe, leave the comments, let us know what you think. Tweet at us, love us, because we'll love you right back. Have a good one, guys.